It's a beautiful Friday night on KNYD. What time is it? It's time to get high.
On the run, on the run, out in the streets when you tell me at night like this one. 'Cause it's alright, don't have me further around here on the west side. Go, stop, go, hold tight, go, as fast as you can.
Adolescence is a time of experimentation and discovery. It's also a time of confusion and emotional upheaval. Today, in every school and neighborhood in this country, highly promoted, celebrity-endorsed products are available which guarantee the temporary relief from this pain and confusion. These casually used magical potions are called drugs. The United States today has the highest level of drug use among young people of any nation in the world. The increase has been rapid. A survey of high school seniors in 1962 showed that only 4% had tried marijuana. Today, this number has risen to 64%. 2/3 of these users have tried drugs other than marijuana. Most will stop after 1 or 2 experiments, but 10% will remain regular users. Approximately half of those who began with marijuana will go on to try cocaine or hallucinogens. 70% of these students also use alcohol on a regular basis. Contributing to the problem is the availability and increasing potency of drugs on the market, and that they're being used by younger and less physically and mentally developed children. Many attribute the rising drug use during the past 2 decades to a change in our drug mentality. With the advent of tranquilizers in the 1960s, a new era began. Why confront a problem when it's easier to take a pill and anesthetize yourself from the pain? Products and paid advertisements were promoting a fast answer to just about all of our everyday hang-ups. Insomnia, stress, anxiety. It's no secret that drugs have been used throughout history, primarily in association with religious rituals and ceremonies. But only in the last 100 years have drugs become a social problem. Much of the past drug addiction was accidental, developing from continual use of legally available medication. These handy products contain such addicting formulas as heroin and morphine. Till about 1905, Coca-Cola had cocaine in it. And favorite Aunt Tilly was probably hooked on that cough medicine she took every day with her quilting bee group. As early as the turn of the century, films began to show drug use, usually as a social taboo having negative consequences. Although cigarette smoking was very visible in the 1940s and 50s, drinking was still considered fast lane living.
Let's all go and get stoned.
But by the late 60s, this image had changed. Drugs were now frequently advocated. Encouraged by the media, young people used them as a political statement. Drugs, which still involved a relatively small percent of the population, became a common and acceptable theme in popular films and music. The initial shock and eventual fascination wore off, and drugs gradually became accepted. By the end of the 1970s, they were being shown as a normal part of everyday life. The correlation between teenage crime and drugs is no coincidence. As a society, we're bombarded with the concept of instant relief. For this, we pay a price. Teenage crime, violence, murder, suicide. The single highest cause for teenage deaths is drug and alcohol-related automobile accidents. Drug abuse costs the American taxpayer over $20 billion a year. Alcohol abuse costs another $50 billion. Tobacco, $38 billion. When a celebrity role model shares his or her personal drug stories, when a comic tells in-drug jokes, when rock songs celebrate getting high and ads for liquor equate alcohol with sex appeal, Young people not possessing the judgment or experience to evaluate these messages often misinterpret these statements as blanket endorsements.
Don't go away, kids. Heckle and Jekyll and Popeye will be right back.
By the time a child graduates from high school, he or she will have spent about 15,000 hours in front of a television set and only 11,000 in the classroom. The average home keeps their set on for almost 7 hours a day. The way many young people perceive reality is through the media. Therefore, it is important that the lifestyles promoted are not destructive, but positive reinforcements. Remember when smoking was considered chic, when romantic scenes of smoke-filled rooms lent an aura of sexuality and seduction? Today, one would be hard-pressed to find an individual who is unaware of the serious health hazard of smoking. This information, distributed by the media, has helped the public to begin a turnaround in tobacco use. The rate of smoking among high school seniors has dropped 30% in the last 5 years. Wouldn't it be extraordinary if someday soon, drugs and drinking looked as foolish as smoking does today? Help someone, somewhere, who is turning to you for support.
It's so easy to slide into drugs, man. You just hide out there till somebody notices.
I lost 6 years of my life to drugs, and I'll never get them back. The worst part is, I went out of my way to do that to myself.
My sister turned me on to drugs because she said it would be fun. But I don't think she thought it was much fun, though, the night I beat her face in for a lousy dime bag.
As the needle went into my arm, I saw myself as a little girl thinking, oh no, I'd never ever do anything like that.
There is some question as to whether the media reflects or determines the most popular drug of a time. But we do know that it has the power to increase or decrease the amount of that use. Maybe it's time for those in positions of influence to recognize that the price of drugs and alcohol in human lives and resources is just too high. Now is the time to stop bombarding our young people with songs, stories, ads, and photos promoting legal and illegal drugs as in, or glamorous, or sexy. Let's level with our children. Yes, growing up is hard and full of painful experiences, but denying this pain through drugs doesn't make it go away. It only allows it to fester. Ultimately, problems must be faced and resolved. Apathy could cost us our next generation.